What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
We got my brother, your brother, B.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Yeah, man. And again, guys, we apologize. I know what you're saying out there in the world. It's. I thought they were a movie podcast. Yeah, movies suck right now. So
I don't know if anyone's seen The Barbarian, but that shit's terrible.
Oh, really?
Oh, don't tell me that. 'Cause I've been
I was
the
hyped
exact
off
opposite.
of it last week.
That is
I've been hearing the
Garbaggio.
exact opposite.
Garbaggio, wow.
Garbaggio, okay?
Really?
I don't know why this movie is being overly hyped. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. But listen, today's episode, we're going to keep it nice, light, but heavy on the TV shows that we're watching right now, which is House of the Dragon, which has been amazing. Game of Thrones prequel there.
Yeah.
Prequel, right? And then we also talking about She-Hulk episode number 5. So we're talking about the episode 5s here of both shows this week. So let's get into our first show, which is we talk about Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. This is what we've been talking about first for the last 4 weeks, and this is our 5th week now, talking about the 5th episode that just was released last night. Got a chance to watch it last night. I found some interesting tidbits, and I think there were certain parts of this show that had my heart beating, like what's happening, what's going on, who's gonna get it. And it was a classic Game of Thrones episode where every wedding is some shit happening. So, B, we haven't heard from you in a while, my brother, man. Talk to me. What was your thoughts on Game of Thrones episode number 5, House of the Dragon?
This episode was a lot of setup, from the start to finish.
Yeah.
Just the amount of setting up this episode did alone, just to get us to the last 3 minutes of the show, was ridiculous, from the whole engagement and just a lot of the focal point being on the king this episode. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting to see his decline, given this illness that he has, which still has no name.
Well, you know what? They have called it leprosy. Those after the show, how they made the episode, okay. They're saying it's leprosy that he has.
Okay, because the theory is, he's been rejected by the throne, hence all the cuts. And I mean, it was interesting. If you notice every episode now that we've skipped in time, if you've noticed that he's missing body parts, like the finger that got cut. He now has 2 amputated fingers, so he has 3 fingers on his hand. So every time we see him, he's just getting more jacked up. And so we thought he was just seasick. No, he's just sick. And then when he got to the Driftwaters, just speaking to Lord Valerian and having to sell his daughter's marriage to him. Okay, I see what you're coming at me with. What do I get out of this? What are the titles I get? When's the last name?
Even before that, Al, we get disrespectful, Al, because normally when a king comes to town, you are waiting for him. You are waiting for him with your whole family, the whole town, to cheer him as he arrives. Dude, it was just his son and his paramour.
Yeah, and it was they even just said, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah. What's up, dude?
I didn't know you was coming. Yeah, Dad's upstairs.
Right. But, B, you saw the hand of the king, right? The hand of the king was is this how you greet your king?
Yeah. So, it's funny. It was that whole scene was that's it. This is the disrespect that this guy has none. He has no respect anymore. He has lost so much because he has... I don't even know, it's just his idleness to everything, but his stance on Rhaenyra, it's it's the only thing he's ever had a stance on. And so it's reflected now that these are lords. These are not kings. These are lords, and this, even though he is the last remaining family of the old Valyria, he's king's here. All right, well, when he gets here, I'll say hello, that's me. Right? That's me and every third cousin we have. I'm oh, when they get their way this way, I'll say hello. You know, like
Yeah, kind of crazy, man. I mean, Al, you had to feel that disrespect from when he walked in there, and then
Yeah.
to see that he had to go to, the Valerian. What I forgot his name. What's the name of the king?
Crowless.
Yeah, Lord Crowless. Yeah.
Lord, oh,
But like we were saying, like he's not demanding any respect, and he doesn't even require it. He's like, all right, whatever, let's just get this over. Like I think, like he doesn't even care that this is all happening.
yeah,
You know, to B's point, the only thing he takes a hard stance of defending is the fact that he chose Rhaenyra to be his heir, and that he's not willing to back off of that. But otherwise, everything else, like he finds a reason to let everybody
Just
do
walk
what they're
all over
doing. Yeah.
him.
yeah.
Yeah. So like what did they say? Oh, he just got back from a long trip. So like in the Game of Thrones, like the further along, like any sign of disrespect, you were almost like killed right there on
You're
the spot.
gutted. Gutted.
So to be like,
Absolutely.
yo, he just came back from a long trip, he's upset. What?
Mm-mm.
You know,
You have to
not for the
excuse
king.
that,
The
really?
Yeah.
king is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I felt the disrespect, and then even like I think is Lord Corlys, is it, or Crawlus? I think it's
Corless.
Corlys, right?
Corless. It's
Corlys.
Corless.
Crowless. Crowless. Okay, so he's like, he even goes to his wife, the queen that never was,
The queen that never was, yeah.
the queen that never was. Disrespectful nickname, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's like he even says to her, and he's just like, "Did I overstep?" And she's like, "Who cares?" Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was literally her reaction. She
Yeah.
was like, "That's my
whatever.
brother. Like, fuck him."
Yeah, she even said it like it was desperation of him to come and do it this way instead of
Yeah.
us going to him. Like she acknowledged that it was a show of weakness by the king.
Yeah, man, and it's funny because I think that everyone's seeing that he's not doing well. Like everyone see that the reign of the king is almost over,
Mhm.
and I just feel like Jesus, is it going to happen because of him just dying off, or is someone going to take him out? Because again, I think in this episode he showed weakness again, and it's just like, it's funny because he has this conversation with the hand at the where I guess where they were bathing him or washing him off, and you could see that the whole left arm of his was like just completely like just deteriorating, right?
Yeah.
And they're having this conversation about what will the people sing? Will they sing his name? And will they make songs about him? And I'm like, no, like
Mhm.
I've watched you for 4 episodes that make a fucking decision. Like and it's like he wants to be remembered. He's saying that maybe he should have had a battle or been in a battle, and who knows what would have happened had he been tested. And
Yeah.
and I think the hand gave him the good advice. Was like, there's people who have been tested that wish they weren't.
Yeah.
It's just like it's good advice, but at the same time, man. I mean, granted, we've only met him for 4 episodes, but in the 4 episodes we've seen Viserys, he's not a good king. I mean, to
Mm.
me, he's just happened to be around when there's been no wars and no fights, and people are just for some reason respecting the fact that he's the king. But had he
It's
been
just
around,
dragons. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's the dragon's threat, and I think had he been around during our Game of Thrones, he would never have made it
No.
through.
No,
No. But
no.
and even he says it like during that conversation, there was no test. And the one little test that there was with that Crab King, Damon had to take care of it, and so did Lord Corlys.
Right.
But I like this new hand of the king because like he at least he tells it to him like calmly and
Mm-hmm.
quietly, but he told him the truth because even the king was like, anybody else would have told me I would have done well.
Right.
So in essence, that he appreciated the honesty.
Yeah, man, definitely. And then like the other side part of this first few minutes of the episode is we see Rhaenyra kind of like understanding her role as this part of the not the dynasty, but the what is it called, Brandon?
Lineage.
The lineage, or like what basically what her role is to be as part
Mhm.
of the queen and the king and their dynasty there.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she's having this conversation with Sir Kristen, and
Kristen
she's
Cole.
yeah. Wow. We'll get to his ass.
Well, bitch ass boy.
He lost his shit. But we see this conversation happening where he feels like, he's just like, listen, why don't we just escape all this bullshit, this nonsense? Like, we don't need any of this. We could go to Iseros or Essos we could go to and just disappear. And she's really into like, no, I can't do this. And then she's trying to like, she's almost like smiling about it. She's like, don't worry about it. You'll still be my little side piece. Like he's like, I don't want that. He's like, shut up.
He's like, I broke my vow to the king for
Yeah.
you. Like, my oath. I soiled my white linen. It's like, yeah.
Oh my God. Very crazy, man. But it's funny because I respect the fact that he's honest with it. And you could tell as the last few episodes, time has passed. And it looks like they have continued being in this relationship that they've been doing things on the side or whatever. And he has feelings for her, plain and simple. He has feelings for her. And he, disavowed his vows of chastity to her. And he feels like the only way to make it right is if he ends up with her. Then it's okay. But now because she's gonna keep him like as a side piece, he's like, fuck this. But I mean, Al, what'd you think of Sir Kristen there?
Well, I thought he took the only route that he thought he could. Like you said, like for her, she's the princess. She'll be queen. Nobody's going to second guess anything she's done or said or whatever. They're not going to, even if it came out afterwards that, something happened, like, fuck it. At that point, she's queen. Who's going to do what to her? But, he's just somebody that could get killed over this. Like he could have been sentenced to death over this. Right. And so, he's in essence saying like, let's leave where we don't have to hide this. Mm-hmm. To your point, I think he really does have true, genuine feelings for her. And he's saying, let's go instead of marrying out of neat obligation, let's go marry out of love and disappear. And she says, no, she goes, I'm not going to go. And to a certain degree, I don't know if it's, her comfort. She I was wondering that as that scene played out, like she's hiding behind tradition, but how much of it is that she didn't want to give up the lifestyle that she has?
That's true. That part too.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. And then, I think one of the things that we jumped right into the king, but we kind of forgot our wild card, Damon. We finally get to meet his wife, man.
And did we meet her?
It was a quick meet and greet. But for all the shit that he was talking about her, man, she wasn't bad. She looked good, man. She was a pretty lady. Yeah. You can tell she don't put up with shit. That's probably why he didn't.
She wasn't blonde.
That's why she didn't like him.
Oh my God. I love that she threw it at him. She was just like, yeah, apparently us over here in what town she's from?
The Vale.
The Vale. Apparently the goats look better than us. We fuck the sheep over here. Like, but it's I love when they have these conversations in Game of Thrones because every conversation has a layer to it or a deeper meaning. And I love when she caught on to what was happening. And then I caught on after she did, because she's just like, did the king kick you out again? Did it not work out with your cousin? Mm-hmm. She's just like, what's left for you to do? And then she just looks like scared for a second. And I'm like, what? I was like, oh shit.
if he ain't got no wife, he can get a new one.
Basically, man. So it's kind of cool. Like, again, it's the wordplay. It's how they act it out, where you realize like, oh,
and he didn't say anything. He was like,
he didn't say a thing.
Let me pet this horse.
Yeah.
And that was what I found interesting of that scene, because she made the assumption and then she started backing up. But really, all he ever did was raise a hand, and it wasn't like in an aggressive manner. Like he just raised his hand, and the horse jumped up.
Yeah.
So, like, was he really gonna do it?
Or what do you mean? Was he really gonna do it when he grabbed the rock?
Well, that was after the fact. Like at this point, he doesn't hide from taking advantage of a situation to his interest.
I love.
Yeah.
But he did, like, he really never made anything overly aggressive before the horse jumped up.
But he was just petting the horse.
Yeah, at that point, she fell off the horse. The horse fell on her.
Right.
She's dying anyway.
See,
And then
that
on
was the
top of that,
best scene.
no, yo, and then she talks shit as she's
That was
dying.
it.
So
She's like on her back, paralyzed. She knows she's paralyzed, and she's like, "And you gonna walk away, bitch? Can't even finish the job."
Dude, is it me? Maybe I'm missing something here. But how many jokes were they about him not being able to finish? Like,
oh, that's all they do. That's the only joke they're making.
she's just like, I see you still can't finish. I was like, is that a sex like this? Like, what's happening?
Like, that's his whole MO. Like,
is that why Damon's so mad? Like, kind of crazy, man. And it's again, I love. I don't love the violence, of course not, but I love the words and the way things are acted out in this show because again, it's like it's just it's not I've never seen shows done like this before, you know what I mean, besides Game of Thrones itself where the wording and everything is just like just perfectly placed and done, and then you kind of catch on with the characters and everything, so it's like really cool, man. You know, so let's see, we get past the king and Damon happening, all this stuff like this, and we see that these, you know, Rhaenyra and I can't remember the son's name
Laner
Laner.
or
Yeah,
Laenor.
okay.
Laenor.
Lenore here, you see that they're coming into agreement there about their marriage, and it seems like looks like Rhaenyra is taking Damon's advice that it's all political. It's just a political play, you know, and she's actually like spearheading this shit. You know, she's out there telling him, she's like, "Listen, I like duck, you like goose." And at
So
first, I
I
was
love
like,
that conversation.
I'm like, she likes duck. She goes, "Yeah, you know, it's a little fatty," and I'm like, I know they're not really talking about ducks and goose.
She's like, "You like geese? I like duck. You know."
And we can stay eating whatever you want to eat and whatever I want to eat. And I'm like, wait a minute, little Batsy boy. Is that's what's happening here? And then sure enough, we meet another dickhead Joffrey.
Dude, I love that his name is Joffrey.
Yeah, it was perfect.
The Knight of Kisses.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, man. It's interesting and really, you know, it's so crazy because there's certain things that like hit like in real life with certain things, certain aspects of it. Like Corliss's denial of his son being gay is just like typical old parents. You know, like dude, he's just like he's young, he'll grow out of it. I'm like, what? Like, he'll grow out of it. Yeah, he's okay fucking his cousin, but he'll grow out of that. You know? Oh man, Al, what do you think of their little courtship there on the beach?
Well, I thought it was pretty, for me, unexpected. Like I have no idea who these characters are or any of their backstory. So when she, you know, came to him and made that deal in essence, like, yo, listen, let's do this for, you know, country, so to speak, crown and country. And meanwhile, let's both do our own things in essence.
Right.
Like I didn't know anything about this guy, so when she's making that conversation, I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? Duck and goose, and and then I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and then she was like, yeah, we can keep, you know, satisfying our appetites. I was like, damn. She's not a little girl no more.
No, man. She's
So,
Ariana
you know,
Grande now, kid. She looked young, but she's like 20, son.
So, but I thought it was interesting, like of her, like in essence, telling him, "Yo, let's make the best of this." You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be good for both of us, both our families, for our kingdom. You know, let's just do what we need to do. Let's do what we want to do behind the scenes. So,
Right.
I
And
thought it
Brent,
was the smartest way to make the best of the situation.
yeah, absolutely, Brandon. And I think this is the first time that I really realized that she's playing the Game of Thrones as well. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
when how convincing she was and how she kind of like almost thought everything out. And she's kind of and again telling her cousin that like, hey, let's just do this for our dads. Let's just, you know, do this for the kingdom. And we do our own thing. And I'm like, and she's like has this plan. Like it's almost like, you know, just a second ago, you were all about like, doing your own thing and taking power and control for yourself. And now you're playing the game to be the queen.
Oh yeah,
You know.
and she realized this when her mother died.
Mhm.
When there was this whole thing about the sun and the air, she realized there was a game and like
Mm.
she could play it too. And it took her 5 years to understand there was a game that she knew how to be in. But it's just like it's that same mentality like that Game of Thrones is based off of. It's that when you are in position, how do you maneuver the other pieces?
All right. Absolutely, man. Just incredible stuff, man. And then what we have going on while she is over here in Driftwood, doing being the political game part. That's her thing right now with the king.
Mhm.
We see the queen is still back in King's Landing, and she is also talking to people. And we have I forget the name of the guy, but he's definitely the brother of the hand, I believe it is.
Yeah, he's some relation. Yeah.
Right? There's a
Oh,
relationship with
I think his son.
the son, right? I think he's, yes, because there's two sons. There's the strong son, and
Yeah,
then there's this kid here that he's walking with the cane, and then there's the hand. Yeah, I think that he's the son, one of the
I
sons
think
of
he's
the
his
hand
son.
there.
Yeah.
And I love, like, he reminds me of the characters like Littlefinger and the who was the guy that I freaking liked it from Game of Thrones, Brandon, the bald
Oh
head.
God, yeah. I wanted to say his name was Viserys, but I don't think so
No.
anymore. So, oh gosh, I forget. Yeah, the
Yeah,
whispers.
Mm.
something like, I forgot his name too. But anyway, he reminds me of a character like that when they start doing these little, like, oops, did I say too much? Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's just like, it's a shame that, I heard they brought her tea. Is she okay? I wonder if she's okay. I hope she's okay. I'm like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
You over here spilling the tea, bro. But again, it's more into getting into the queen's ear. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here now with the queen? And you can see the queen's kind of like questioning whether she did the right thing, right? She had to tell her dad goodbye. Otto, one of our favorite characters in the show. I hope he's not gone, but I haven't, ever since that he left in the beginning of the episode, we didn't see him at the wedding at the end or anything like that. But Otto made sure to tell his daughter, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
This is going to end ugly. Like, he's like, if Rhaenyra becomes the queen, this kingdom is going to go to shit. And I just, it's funny because you can see the queen is constantly changing through the episode, and then forget it at the end. You can completely, if you didn't realize what she was trying to do by wearing the green dress and interrupting the king later on, these things that happen beforehand are kind of giving you the hints that she's starting to feel like, what, fuck Rhaenyra. Like,
She's saying "fuck them all." She goes, "I know who I'm backing now."
yeah. I don't know. I find things so many things interesting, man. I mean, we have that conversation out with Kristen and the Queen, where she's questioning what really happened with Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, again, we all know she's trying to ask about Damon.
Yeah. But
But
his guilt made him think about himself. Yeah.
yeah, man. How crazy, man.
Yeah. And I was talking about to B before we started this that actually led to me being confused about the whole situation with the queen because
Mm.
her anger was that she thought her father, who came with the story of Rhaenyra and Damon, like that, was she wrong in backing Rhaenyra for saying nothing happened with Damon
Right.
and not believing the father that something supposedly did happen with Damon?
Mhm.
So for me, her anger was always about that. Like her frustration and her confusion was about that. So when she found out that Rhaenyra really didn't lie to her
Mhm.
and that the father was wrong, that nothing did happen between her and Damon, I don't understand why that caused this rift where now she's angry and she's backing her father. Like, yo, she just found out through this guy's admission that the father was wrong. Nothing happened. Rhaenyra was right when she swore nothing happened with her and Damon. That Damon never touched her and whatever. So I don't understand why, based on the way the show is telling the story,
Mhm.
why she got so mad about being lied to when Christoph when his admission
Right.
confirms that, yeah, no, nothing happened. It wasn't Damon. It was him.
Gotcha, man. I think Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, man. I think with the issue that the Queen had with Rhaenyra and this confession from Kristen is I think she thinks that both things happen now. She had her dad say to her like, "I saw this," like not I saw this, but the people saw this and told me, and it's you'd be a fool not to believe him because he has his people. So not only did she do that with Damon, now she's also messing with I forgot Sir Kristen's role there, but I think he's the protector of the king or
He's
something
the
like
Knights
that,
Guard.
right? So
King's
he's
Guard.
the Knight's Guard, right? Right, who's supposed to have this vow of chastity here as the Knight's Guard, and here she's messing with him also, and here she is, the queen that has to sit there and be on the beck and call of the king whenever he wants, and she's trusting her. She says, "Tell me the truth." In the last episode, what happened? And she says, "Nothing happened. I didn't do anything, and I can't believe you would believe something like that would happen." So I think the queen's idea is that even though, okay, maybe nothing happened with Damon, but you didn't tell me something happened with Kristen. So either way, you are not as pure, quote unquote, as you say
Yeah.
you were at that episode.
Yeah,
What do
and
you think, Brandon?
in the book, it's actually a lot more clearer. The wording is clearer. So in the book, it's stated like when she asks about Damon in the book, Rhaenyra tells her she's just like, I didn't sleep with anyone that night. She's like, I went to my room
Right.
and I stayed there. I didn't do this. So just like you're saying, like it's the whole being lied to in general. She had lied to her
And he
completely, and
figured
the
that.
wording was done a lot better in the book to be like, no, you lied to me. Like, I'm in here trying to protect you, and you're lying to me about everything. I don't know what I can believe, and I have all these people saying to me not to trust you, and here you are, you just committed a cardinal sin for this night, like so in the book
Right.
it's labeled out more, but that's exactly it. It's just like I can't even trust this person who's supposed to be my best friend.
Yeah, I thought I got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just her like acting out. Like remember, like last time we were talking about the juxtaposition of the
Ooh,
two women, and
wow.
how the queen was living a life of obligation and Rhaenyra was
Right.
like out there living her life how she wanted. I thought this was the queen getting so pissed off that here she is, sleeping with her guard and
Mhm,
living her life. I'm going to live my life the way I can. And then that's where that whole, all right, I'm going to wear my family's colors. I'm going to come out when I want. I'm going to do what I want in the manner that I can. So I just thought that this was her trying to exert her power and
gotcha.
independence,
Yeah.
um, because she was just tired of her being able to do what she wanted and her not being, and Rhaenyra being able to do what she wanted, and then the queen just having to do what everybody else told her.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I think even more than that, also, when the king arrived back in town, and she saw him arrive, and sure enough, she saw him fall on the floor. And I think she had her dad's words in the ear, like, this is going to probably happen sooner than later, where
Hmm.
either Rhaenyra is going to be the queen or my son Aragon is going to be the king or the next in line for the succession there. So I
Yes.
think it's just I think there's so many things going on, but again, so well written that everything is having an effect and it's all happening all at once and you can see it all happening and it's just like this is getting crazy. And I felt like I don't know about you guys, but watching the episode, when we got to the middle of the episode, I felt like this shit is building up to something right now. Not
Hmm.
next week's episode,
No,
not
right
next
now.
no, to date. Something's happening today. And I was getting I felt myself getting like excited, like sat up on my chair and I was just like, okay, what's gonna happen? Because
Yeah.
when I saw that and I put the remote on pause for a second, I was like, ooh, and I saw it was only 30 minutes left. I was like, there's still 30 minutes left? Someone's dying. And it was kind of crazy, man. But like, help me if I'm wrong. After this is where we get to the wedding. Am I correct? Or is there something that I'm missing here?
No, we go right to the wedding from there.
We go to the wedding here. This fucking wedding was amazing,
Well, no,
dude.
we had the beatdown. That's what caused the wedding.
No. I'm talking about the whole like banquet
Oh yeah,
sequence
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everything. This
Yeah.
is what's next after this. All
Yeah.
this stuff is happening, right? it's the king now inviting people to come over to see like this is what's going to happen. And they're actually like kind of letting people know this is going to happen, the marriage and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, the first thing I think of course, is the red wedding. And I think of some other weddings that we saw in Game of Thrones, and I'm like, is some shit really going to happen tonight? And then it's weird because I don't know if you guys felt this, but I felt like inside, like anxiety. And I was like, yo, I'm uncomfortable.
That was the
Something's
music.
off.
It was the
It was the
music.
music, right?
Yeah.
It felt like a movie, but I felt like something's wrong. Something's off. And it was acted that way too. I felt like people were saying like, hey, like things were weird. Like, dude, it was so crazy, dude. First of all, when Damon walks into the freaking banquet, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, why? First of all, why is he here? And then again, this is why I despise Viserys as the king. You banished this guy twice. He shows up to your wedding announcement or your wedding celebration, and
you call over
quiet,
a chair,
and you call for a chair for the man to sit down. Dude, how much are you willing to take, my man? You are the king, and oh god.
I think too it was even like when the uncle from the Vale showed up.
Dude, you heard those? Did you hear those drums when he came through?
And he was like all antsy and sweaty. I'm like, oh, why are you so sweaty? Why is he fucking sweaty?
How about the way the hand kept looking at the king and looking at the crowd? I'm like, dude, what is he up to?
Yeah, I was like, he's being sneaky too. I was like, something's up.
Sneaky, something's up. And it's funny because it brought me to Al like a couple of weeks ago. Al was just like, why is he so nice? Why is he always telling the truth? He's not playing the game right. And I'm like, this Nick is playing the game too.
Everyone's playing the game. Everyone plays the game. He played in a different way, but he's playing the game too.
Dude, so crazy, man. And I can't believe, like I said, the tension. It was what they tell you people out there, you can cut the tension with a knife. That whole wedding banquet was just like something is going to pop off. And I didn't know what. So we get to, I think it's the king starts his speech.
And Alicent walks in.
Yeah, because people are like, where's the queen? And I think, what was it? One of the Lannister guys that was supposed to marry Rhaenyra, wanted to marry Rhaenyra. He's just like, what was this
Jason.
bad joke? That was a horrific
There's
joke.
a reason why women don't go to war. It's because they would never show up on time.
Dude, did you guys see Rhaenyra's look on her face when he said that joke? Dude?
She was like, "Wow, thanks, Jason Lannister, for being here. It's always appreciated.
You're so amazing. Thank you. This wedding wouldn't be the same without you. So please sit down. Please sit down, sir." This is such fantastic television, dude. I love it. And of course, here the king is. He's like, all right, well, I guess I got to start because the queen's not here. And he starts to go into his speech. And sure enough, here comes the queen, the new queen, right? And she stands there in the green dress. And is it like her uncle, right, Al? It was her uncle that was stood up with, or he said he whispered to somebody else. He's just like, she's wearing the colors of
it was the son. It was the hand's son, the crippled one.
Okay.
He explains that the green is the color of the
call
light
to war.
that they put in the tower.
The high tower, right? Oh, dude.
When we're calling for war.
She's like, yeah, she's standing up for herself. And I'm like, oh, shit, what is happening?
She picked a side.
She walks in, she sits next to the king, and the king's like, you really just interrupted me. Like, and I think what was also cool was like the way she stared down Rhaenyra. You knew it was like, something's wrong, dude. Something's off, man. And again, the vibe was just off.
Cutthroat.
It was so off. Like even the people who were like at the banquet were like whispering and talking as certain people were walking in and things were happening. When the queen walked in, they were whispering and all this stuff like that. And then we get the dance. We get the dance between Rhaenyra and, I'm sorry, what's the son of?
I think it's like Laenor or Laenor.
Lenore. Okay. Well, we get the dance, and it seems like Joffrey, the King of Kisses, was
The Knight of Kisses, correction.
right. And I think while Lenore and Rhaenyra were dancing, he was looking around and he caught eyes with Kristen, or he saw Sir Kristen, the way he was looking at Rhaenyra. And I think he put one and one together and got two. He got two. He's like, oh, I found him. I found the one. And dude, I don't know what he whispered in this man's ear to get this guy so fucking vexed.
He was like, I know. He was like, if we do this together, not a word.
Right? Not a word. We must
We can
protect
keep their
them.
secrets.
Right.
We keep our secrets, yeah.
Al, explain to me your opinion as to why my man Sir Kristen here lost his fucking marbles.
Actually, I wasn't sure. Like,
right?
Because at first I'm like, all right, if his concern is people finding out, and him having to live a life of fear, thinking, okay, who's going to find out? And this guy is telling him, like, we can work together to make sure nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought that it'd be at ease. But then I was like, you know what? The fact that this guy, who he doesn't even know who the hell this guy is, was able to tell. He was like, you know what? I can't take a chance that this motherfucker talks.
Right.
Because there wasn't even anything that instigated the attack. He just, while everybody's dancing, just beat the like.
That was insane. And what was crazy about that, Al, and I don't know if you guys remember this part, but there was a few minutes where no one knew what was happening. It was just a crowd and noise and scuffle. And no one knew what was happening. And I'm like, somebody's getting shanked. Who's getting shanked? And I don't know if you guys felt that or saw that, but even the king was like, where's Rhaenyra? He's looking around. He's trying to look in the crowd and looking everywhere, but he can't see anything. And actually, you know what? Even before that, if I'm correct, Daemon went down to go dance with Rhaenyra and have their little conversation. That conversation in itself was ugly and crazy.
Just before the fight started, the king had saw Daemon with his hand on her neck, and it seemed from the stance that they had kissed.
So that happened, one. Two, the conversation alone that was happening between Daemon and her.
Slay my father's men and take me.
No, I don't think she was saying it like
that's
romantically.
What she said.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
I thought she was like kind of like playing him like, I know you're not going to do it, so why don't you just do that?
She wanted him to do it.
Stop playing. I did not get that vibe. I got the vibe like she was dissing him like, what are you going to do?
That's how I took it. I took it like she was telling them, like, in essence. No, I agree. I take both of yours.
It's both. It's like a diss, but like, you can do this right now. I'll be yours, but take.
This is what I want you to do, but I know you won't.
Oh,
yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Go ahead, slay the Kingsguard right now, and just fly me away to Dragonstone.
Yeah, and I'm like, first of all,
I'll be your wife.
She's playing him. She's dissing him. And then I can see what you're saying. Like, because had he done it, she probably would have gone with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's Rhaenyra, dude. You are a little hussy girl. Like, Sir Kristen, Daemon, the freaking, oh, God. I don't know, man. That's so crazy to me, man. But again, we see all this stuff happening. And then we also saw that Daemon was flirting with Sir Corlys's daughter, which was going to go to the king. That also happened too. So I think they're dropping these little like nuggets to us because this is stuff that's going to happen, or maybe this will take place in the next time jump. Because my understanding is this is it for young Rhaenyra with us.
Yeah, we're going 10
the
years.
Next episode here or now, we're jumping to like 10 years from now.
10 years.
And it's going to be another actress playing her, right? Yeah, so it's going to be crazy to see what happens in this time jump. But again, these tense moments are just what I love watching about these shows, man. And again, it's just like seeing all this stuff happening, seeing the king kind of going crazy, and then you get the scuffle, and Brandon, what'd you think in the scuffle? What was happening in there?
I thought that we were starting like a red wedding thing where some families were going to start getting like X'd off. Like, I thought the start of the scuffle, I thought it had something to do with that Joffrey, but I didn't know it was him losing his face.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
god, dude, violent.
Especially, it is funny because before he officially died, he did try to fight back. He took out the knife, and Kristen was like, "No, fuck your face."
Oh,
He
dude,
saw the
so
knife and said,
terrible.
"No, bah."
Yeah, man. And then Al, your innocent hand of the king there looks at his son. He's like, he just gave him a head nod, almost like they kind of expected this.
Or that is serving. See, and that's where, to your point, like, is he playing a game, and how much of this did that just serve them?
Right, right.
Like, whatever they're trying to do, whatever seeds, because if they're putting the seeds in the queen's mind,
Hmm.
and they want something to happen behind, from this,
Right.
this was something unexpected that they're like, all right, this is going to help us achieve our goal.
And you saw how fast he switched, right? Like the son, like he was like, ah, ha, ha, ha.
Yep.
And he
And
just
he
went
scooped her
Terminator.
up,
That's
her
it.
up, and walked her out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
that was crazy when they were when the king looked at him and said, all right, that's it. He told his son, yo, end this with just a look. And all the guards went in and cleared out shop and picked up Rhaenyra, took her out.
yeah, man. And again, once again, a weak king couldn't even tell the crowd to stop
Yeah.
or to sparse or to disperse or to word, whatever you want,
Yeah.
insert.
To Urse it.
Urse it. To zip it. And it's like, again, and shout out to whoever composed the music for this, because
Ramin Djawadi.
dude, those drums was hitting, son. It was just, it was so rhythmic and awesome. And like, again, shout out to my Bose headphones for the TV, not a sponsor. Um, the whole wedding was awesome, dude. And again, it's what those TV moments are built for us to all watch and talk about. That wedding banquet was fucking crazy. Like, it was just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't know what to expect. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But there was that tension and that, again, like Brandon said, that so Kristen took that boy's face, boy. So like, kind of crazy, man. So then the next scene after all this stuff is happening is we see the son of Corlys, Lenore, there, sees who it is that actually is on the floor. And man, he lets out a wail, boy. That man is hurting, man. And I'm sure his dad didn't think that he'd just get over it now.
Well, I don't know, because they went right to a ceremony the next scene. So
yeah, they're like, you know what? Before anyone dies, let's actually just get them married.
I need to get
Well,
those
before
names
anybody
going.
changes their mind.
Yeah, or people change their name. Oh my dude. And you know what was the hardest thing to watch on that is that we go from the beginning of the episode where Rhaenyra and also Lenore are so positive and so happy, like, as far as like, they know that they're getting married, but it's just for the look of it and for the sake of the kingdom, and they were still going to have their loves or whatever they wanted. And by the time that we got to the real wedding, when they marry each other at the end in a bloody wedding banquet hall, you could see the sadness in both of their faces. Like, what the fuck is going to happen, dude?
Yeah.
Like, they looked like shook. And then to top it all off, then the king passes out. Thump right on the floor, dude. I mean, Al, talk to me, man.
Yeah. Okay. Without knowing the story of this whole book that
Mhm.
it's based on, I thought he
Right.
was done.
The king
Yeah.
or the son?
No, the king. I thought that when the king collapsed at the end of the wedding, I thought he was done. I was like, oh shit, the next episode is all about Rhaenyra as queen.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be that, and I was like, oh shit, how does this play out? Do they try to take her out now that she's queen? Is that going to be what the next couple of episodes are going to be about for the rest of this season?
Mhm.
Like thankfully they kind of like stopped me from going too crazy with my theories, because at the end they show the preview for next week's
He's like,
but but yo, I thought he was done. Like, because like you said, all episode all we saw was how bad he actually was. He kept coughing up blood,
Right.
dripping blood from his nose. You know, they
Absolutely.
show the pool of blood on the floor. So I'm like, yeah, he's done. All right, the
Yeah.
king died. You know, plus, like you said, the previous hand kept alluding he's not going to be here for much longer.
Right.
You know, prepare Aegon to take the throne because that's what that's what the kingdom wants. So I thought he was done. I thought it was all hinting to this scene, and then the
Yeah.
rest was
Oh God, Brandon, what'd you think there about the end there?
I thought there was some nice allusions. The last scene is a rat eating the
Oh,
blood, and that is an allusion to some characters we're going to be seeing hopefully soon or in the next season. So I'm actually excited for what that is. And if you haven't read the book, the names of the assassins are literally the two things in the scene. So if that gives anything away, um,
you know,
it,
you two are the freaking worst with spoiler alerts. You know that? Without talking about, well, if I didn't know that the king was going to be alive in the next episode, I'm like, I
it's in the
thought he was
preview.
dead.
it's
It's
in
the
the preview.
preview.
I didn't see the preview. So, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, Al, Brandon. Oh, if you don't know the names of blood and rats.
Oh, it's
You
not
just
rat, so.
good. We're gonna keep it that way till next episode.
It's gonna be a while.
I
But
mean,
no,
like,
I mean, this episode was nuts. Like,
yeah,
just the way it ended for me, like set in stone for me, that I'm like, we got 5 more episodes left of the season. Like, where do we go from here? Because, even like I know
I
the
love
book.
it.
Like
I love it.
I know the book. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, at what point do we end this season? Because I'm thinking about the book in my head, and I'm like, well, it could end here, or it could end here. And I'm like, either way, this is gonna be fucking crazy.
Right. Yeah, man. I
Mhm.
I gotta tell you guys, man, for a halfway point for the show, I think we are in great hands here with whoever these writers are
Yeah.
for this show and
It's
and,
not
and the
David
show.
Benioff. Dude, boys.
No, it's not Mr. BMW over there. The two of those guys. But I mean, listen, whoever is writing this, if it's a team of people or one person, man, they got this on lock, bro. They really do. And it's sad that, okay, here's a spoiler alert for you two fuckers, right? Is that the writer quit after this season. So
Yeah.
he's not going to be writing the second season, apparently, unless he kind of already gave notes and ideas for what he wants to see in the second season. And I'm sure he's going to have some part of it, but the main writer is not going to be a part of the second season of House of the Dragon.
Um,
Yeah, man. But it's still, I mean, I think they're doing an incredible job. It's interesting. It's fascinating. It's Game of Thrones, man. It's a
yeah.
Game of Thrones. Fantastic television, man.
Yeah.
Al, where are you with the 5 episodes, man?
I like it. Like I said, it's there. Obviously, they have to do build up, because they have to give a history. They have to give a backdrop to a lot of the crazy stuff that's coming. You can't just have crazy shit and you're like, all right, why is all this happening? So you got to give the reason why. For example, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of crazy shit going down with Rhaenyra. So
Right.
you got to explain why everybody's against Rhaenyra or why the people that are against her are against her. The intricacies between all the different people and
Mm-hmm.
how does everything lay out in terms of loyalties and so forth. So, for 5 episodes into season one of a show that theoretically can go, say, 6, 7, 8 seasons, you can't just throw us into chaos and then have everybody know what's going on. So I like the way they're doing it. They're easing you into each of the characters
Right.
and the subplots between each of the people. So I'm enjoying myself, and again, like my fear going into the season was not having watched Game of Thrones in
Right.
its entirety. Would I be lost? And I'm not. So
You're
I'm
not,
enjoying
man.
myself. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And how about you, Brandon? How you feeling, man? 5 episodes in, man.
I think it's crazy. I had my doubts, and like I said, knowing this book and such, I'm kind of like, I don't know where they could have taken this, and they're doing incredible. And now I'm trying to see in my head, I'm like, where are they going with this? Like, holy cow! Like, this could go anywhere in the books. And I'm sorry, I was
Right.
telling Al before the show, we can end the season doing this, and then the next season could be about this. I was like, there's so many points they can take this, because
Right.
the book, covers generations of Targaryens. It's not just these people. So I'm saying, is this family just the first generation we're going to cover, and the season ends with this, and then the
Right.
next season we're on to another generation of Targaryens? So it's crazy where they've taken this far, and now I'm like, where do we go? And I want to know.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to next Sunday's episode, man. I can't wait, man. It's just exciting stuff, good stuff. And again, if you guys are watching us, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching us, or if you're listening to us on your podcast player for the first time. Put us on there for the next episode, where we're gonna do the same thing and talk about the entire episode and our thoughts and our opinions on Lord of the Rings. No, it's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, man. Episode 6 coming up soon, man. So now we go from a fantastic, excellent, well written, unbelievable, exhilarating episode to She-Hulk episode 5.
Dang. Wow.
And man, even the way I introed that, you guys already know, man.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys something. If it wasn't for Al and Brandon and them like kind of saying like, this is what we're gonna talk about and stuff, like I probably wouldn't even remember what this episode was. Honestly, it was last week Wednesday or Thursday that I watched it, and to be real with you, it felt like it just happened, and I kind of like remembered like little bits and pieces, but I really didn't remember the episode. So I had to watch like a YouTube video really quick just to see like what they talked about, like the secrets behind the scenes and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's right, that's what happened in this episode. And I don't know what's happening with She-Hulk, man. It started off like this, like oh, this is interesting, this is cool, it's a different take and all this stuff like that. But I feel like the last 2 episodes, man, have been like kind of like bringing that ship down. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I mean, it still has its elements of entertainment where it's a little funny, a little quirky. But I don't know about you guys, but for me, episode 5 of She-Hulk kind of made me feel like, where are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing with
It's
this
like
thing?
Green Alley McBeal now.
Well, that's what they've always said the show is going to be. But
Right. So
It's
I
like,
mean,
and I think minus the first episode with Wong, like I think the thing about this show is that we all understood that this was going to be She-Hulk attorney at law, and she was going to do the lawyer thing. But I think we thought there was going to be more Hulk stuff, And like
yeah.
really the end of the first episode, we just saw her turn green, and then we didn't see her do anything until the Wong episode, and oh, She-Hulk is doing She-Hulk stuff. And now it's like, oh, she's like doing cases and she's green sometimes. And it's like, okay. So I don't know. I mean, I know it's 9 episodes and it's not 6, so this would be like the season finale or whatever, as it used to be. And so the action is kind of ramping up or slowing down. I don't know where it's going. But I feel like because this is an MCU show, there should be some more MCU things happening. And it's not.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, Al. And how about yourself, man? Al, where do you find yourself after watching this 5th episode of She-Hulk there?
With this episode, it kind of I'll be honest, it's the first one to like let me down because at this point I was like, all right, they've situated that this is a law show. They have to go back to why it's part of the MCU.
Right.
What's the tying thread throughout the stories? Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting whatever that is to take over the episode, but give us a hint, give us a scene or some or two where you're hinting back to again what's going to be the arc of the story. Like, where are we going? We had the what is it, the crew, the something crew, the wrecking
The
crew.
Wrecking Crew, yeah.
We had them in one episode at the end for 2 minutes, and they make reference to a boss. We haven't touched on that since.
Right.
So and then now you have in this episode you have the reference to Daredevil. So I'm assuming he's in the next episode. Unless they do what they did in this episode again. They touched on something and then they don't go back to it for do we not see him until episode 8? And now we only get him for 8 and 9.
Right.
So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what to expect from the show. There's no other than the comedic comedy. And then even with the, the weakening again of the character where she, is like apologizing and forgetting who she is. Like at this point, I would have thought She Hulk would have been making her more confident in herself
Right.
when she was not She Hulk. And instead, I feel like she's getting weaker. Like, she confronts this girl, Tatiana or Titania, in regards to using her name. And the woman, has her take a picture of her. And she goes, just one. Like her toughness was that she was just going to take one picture.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, see, again, I would have expected there's no arc. She's still in the beginning of whatever development she's supposed to be doing in the show.
Right.
So I don't know. Again, I'm trying to understand. Maybe is this because of how they had to reorder the episodes? Was this one supposed to maybe be earlier in the season, and that's why she's still weak at this point, or what? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll give them a benefit of the doubt. I'll give it a couple more episodes before I say it's either tanking or what. But yeah, this is of the five. This is definitely would be at the bottom of my episode list because it was the one that disappointed me the most.
Yeah, man. I gotta tell you guys, man. I think that I'm glad they reordered the episodes because if you think about it this way, they said that that first episode was supposed to be episode 8 or 9. The whole what happened to She-Hulk, how did she become She-Hulk? I think that they put that in the front because it made it more exciting, right? That first episode was great. And I hate to say it because I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, you only like that episode because Hulk was in it. No, man, there was something to that episode. That episode was fun. It was cool. It was interesting seeing her battle the Hulk, and their interaction was amazing. Even when they were Jennifer Walters and Bruce Banner, it was freaking amazing. The second episode was just as entertaining, I thought. Third episode was pretty cool. It wasn't as fun for me as the other episodes there, but I thought it was leading into where She-Hulk was now going to be trying cases. And she was the person in the case in this episode here. So it's almost like she didn't even get to play the lawyer. She was the plaintiff. Like it's just I don't know. I wanted to see either more of her being She-Hulk or her being Jennifer Walters and being the lawyer. And I feel like she's just kind of like Al was saying, learning how to be herself and She-Hulk. And I get what they're doing with some of the symbolism there of like, things that happen in women's lives and their not perception, but their reality of what happens to them and how we don't really see that as men or other people don't see it that what they're going through on a daily basis, right? Like where these guys are only into She-Hulk and not into Jennifer Walters, and even the nice guy wasn't so nice when he was just like, yeah, I was into She-Hulk and not her. You know what I mean? Like, and there goes the nice guy that she was in love with or wanted for a second there. And I love the fact that the other her lawyer was just like, you know what, you don't deserve that. That was awesome to hear and see another woman kind of like back her up and be like, you don't deserve that shit. You don't deserve someone
Yeah.
talking to you like that. That's awesome to see and hear in the show and everything. But other than that, I mean, like again, the episode was silly. Like even Al's point, which is that there's a point where Titania is telling her like, "Oh, just take a picture for a fan for me." Like, what? This lady stole your name, and you claim you don't care about the name, but you care about the name, And then even the costume person was a joke. The way he was acting, the way that he was doing things, is just like the typical like I don't give a shit, I don't give a fuck like fashion designer. Like we've seen that trope before already. Like, oh yeah, 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 just wear this and you're fabulous. Like, okay, great. And it's funny because I was also looking, we're fans of the MCU, so we're looking around for little hidden details, like what other costumes is he making in the background there. I did think it was weird. There was this one guy in the background who was leaving as she was walking in that kind of looked like he was confused. So I wonder if that guy is going to be somebody in this episode or the next episode. I don't know, man. Overall, again, a very forgettable episode. I don't know. Anything that stood out for you, Brandon, that you liked about the episode?
Just the Daredevil helmet at the end.
Just the Daredevil helmet. Nice.
I don't know.
Nice.
It was very forgettable, and like just like you guys said, like I felt like it was backtracking, and like I understand there was a reversal of episode order, but like even so, the progression of this episode just felt like it was not where it needed to be. And
Right.
so, like, my hope is that, like, this show picks up and becomes something, because, like, I feel like past this show, I can't visibly see She-Hulk anywhere else. Like,
Right.
like, unless she steps up and becomes She-Hulk, I can't see her doing something. Like, when I'm thinking about Secret Wars, I don't see her there. You know,
Right.
I think she's going to be in New York trying cases. When I'm thinking about Kang Dynasty and things that might go wrong, I don't see She-Hulk there. I think about the
Yeah.
Hulk being there. And, like, that sucks, because, like, in my head, I'm seeing Moon Knight. I'm seeing all of these people step up. And, like,
Right.
I can't see her
She-Hulk.
involved.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hear you, man. Al, anything that stood out to you in a positive way about the episode for you?
Just if anything that I
The
liked
helmet.
in terms of the development, no, it goes to what you were saying
Yeah.
when the other lawyer like had her back, like even though she was along the lines of like, yo, we're not friends,
Right.
but still what that guy said wasn't right. I like the relationships that it has her building with
Yeah.
the other characters. Obviously, her paralegal, what's her name?
I
Her
can't
main
remember her name
paralegal,
right
I
now.
forgot the character's name. Like obviously their bond is tight.
Yeah.
The relationship they're building with Pug, you have more of Pug and who he is as a person and
Yeah.
is coming out.
Drip
Her
King.
yeah, her interaction with the other attorney
Yeah.
saying, let's go out to drinks and then, are we, so I like the way it's drawing out those relationships, but
Right.
you know,
the, the
I want more of
Avengers.
the arc or the Avengers, depending on which one you buy.
Oh my god. Wait, did you guys see the one where like it was like those little dolls of Thor, and instead of a hammer, he had a shovel?
The Avengers ensemble.
Avengers.
Oh, God.
The cap shield was like the colors were off. It was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
white, blue, and white and red with something like it's too crazy, dude. Oh man, I mean, and I think it's so weird to say this, man, because again, we are lucky to get these like little freaking post credit trailers and like post credit scenes and things. And I gotta tell you, man, if one episode needed a post credit scene to save it, it was this one, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it didn't
Something
have
to
one.
leave us off like, oh, like that post credit scene for this episode should have been like the bad guy of the episode, like who the real bad guy is. You know what I mean? Should have been the post credit for this one. So at least there's something to look forward to for the next episode. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we don't have that. We don't have like what's to look forward to the next episode, right? Like she won the court case to get her name She-Hulk back.
Yeah.
What now? You know,
Yeah.
like you haven't mentioned, like Al said, the working crew or who's trying to get her blood in 2 episodes. So what are we looking forward to in the next episode? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted it to be more like court drama, but it's not that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, man.
Yep.
We really don't got shit to say about She-Hulk, so
No, not this one.
It's kind of crazy, man. But listen, that's gonna be us, man. She-Hulk left us speechless.
Yeah.
And listen, we're gonna try to see if any movies come out this week, man, because there really hasn't been anything. But again, I do think that we want to try to reach out and to each other and see Woman King,
Mhm.
and see what else is coming out this week. Because
Yeah, I
there's
heard
some
that one. That one
Not
did
the
well this
Barbarian.
weekend. So
really.
Yeah.
Brandon is not the Barbarian, but Al was saying, what was the one you were saying that was the prequel to X?
Oh,
Pearl.
Pearl.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
things about that too. So maybe we'll get a chance to watch a movie this week because we haven't been in the movies in a while, man.
No, it's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then also on top of that, if you guys have not seen Avatar in 3D, in 4K 3D, guys, got to give it a watch this Friday in the movie theaters near you. Avatar is coming out, so that again, it's not Avatar 2. Avatar, the original release, is coming back out in theaters, and they're gonna do it in 4K with the 3D to kind of give you guys like almost like a memory of the story again. Because again, if you guys don't know, Avatar 2 is coming out around Christmas time. So it's kind of for everyone to kind of remember what Avatar was about because it's been so long. It's been what, like 10 years?
More
Feels
than
like
Yeah.
it.
that.
It's just crazy, man. So I mean, we might try to see Avatar, The Woman King, maybe something else out there, but hopefully it'll be some good movies out there, man. But in the meantime, we do have the House of the Dragon. We also have She-Hulk, and we can talk about those in the next podcast. So if you're not a subscriber, again, hit that plus symbol on your podcast playlist. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. That way, when we come out with a podcast, you guys get to see what we talk about that week. So coming out of Long Island, New York, saying goodnight is my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
Myself, Hob, saying goodnight again. And guys, please, yes, email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. Subscribe, hit the playlist, catch up with us on the next episode when we talk about episode 6 of House of the Dragons and She-Hulk. We'll catch you on the next podcast. Until next time.